Right, there's a lot of you. Okay, let's go. So we have covered so much already, but I'm going to be diving into everything entertainment and how it has dominated on social media this year, from the unhinged to the educational, and where the opportunities lie for your brand. So in today's world, competition for attention is huge. Trying to stand out in the constant buzz of activity is really difficult. But one of the most common ways we've seen this work is by using entertainment. So whether that's posting an egg that goes down in history, or using Pedro Pascal eating a sandwich for one of the most iconic memes, entertainment is just hugely vast. But as I said, it's not easy. So we're going to look at the different ways your brand can tap into this craze while staying true to your audience and your brand personality. So let's take a step back. What does entertainment actually mean? So it is the action of providing or being provided with amusement or enjoyment. So it's not necessarily about getting the biggest laugh, it's just simply about creating enjoyment. Now, I hate to break it to you, but brands are quite boring in themselves. A brand that does nothing is simply a company with a cute logo, or marketing's equivalent to mutton dressed as lamb. And there is nothing entertaining about that. So hopefully the very obvious answer here is no, you don't want to be a boring brand. The good news is, where there is a will, there is a way. So everyone has the power to not be boring. You just have to actively connect with your audience to do so. So yes, connecting is vital. So now we know connecting is key. How do you do that? Well, in 2023 and 24, it's all about entertainment. So previously, in order to connect, audiences wanted to be informed. So whether that's seeing TV adverts showing you the best products on the market, nowadays, information is so readily available, being informed doesn't cut it. Now, audiences want to be entertained. So willingness to do this is key. In our quest for entertainment, customers are turning to social media. And that's something that I'm sure you guys have all seen. Social media platforms in themselves know it, and so do traditional media. TikTok, for example, is calling itself an entertainment platform rather than a social network. TV, we see social media coming into that all of the time. So we see QR codes on our screens now, hashtags. We have whole accounts dedicated to single programs. For example, BBC Strictly has a huge following, also one of my personal faves, and yes, my Fringe is inspired by Claudia Winkleman. So, for brands, what does this mean? We're seeing them lean into this shift as well. It's not just about being strategic with your community management or advertising anymore. To stand out, you need to entertain. But in what ways do you do this? Well, hopefully I'm about to help you find out. So, combining all of our experiences across this year at the agency, and with the help of our wonderful Battenhall Insights team, we've uncovered these 3 areas. So pop culture, lifestyle, and education. And this is how brands are entertaining. So first up is pop culture. And a lot of the time, this leans into meme culture. Now, what is a meme? In reality, anything could be a meme. Depending on how this goes, I might be a meme by the end of this. But there really is great skill in creating or engaging with a great meme. So first things first, everyone knows you need to stay aligned with your brand when you're engaging. But what we've seen this year is that actually rewriting the rules and doing something completely unhinged and unexpected is creating real success. So take Duolingo, for example. This is a brand that everyone points to. We hear it all the time. How do they do crazy so well? So if you are going to dive into the unhinged, one thing we need you to do before doing so is not to rush. So nowadays, it's not really about getting there first. It's more about your take on the meme. And if that takes time to finesse, take your time. So here you can see Netflix, for example, a very well-oiled machine on social media, kind of missed the mark with this one, comparing Meg and Harry to Shrek and Fiona, which I'm sure the royals were not too pleased about. So it's just a reminder to take your time. Now, technically I am Gen Z, but I still love classic British telly. Taskmaster, Loose Women, you name it, I'm there. So I'm really excited to be able to shine a light on Channel 4. They're a bit of a meme connoisseur. So this example here, it just shows their quick wit and humour, but it also shows the power of nostalgia when it comes to pop culture. So it's something we've seen lots of this year, but what makes this unique to Channel 4 is they've delved into their own archives, and this makes it super relevant for their own audience. So how can you, as a brand, create uniqueness and hyper-relevance? Well, look inwards, and this is how nostalgia will fit into pop culture. Next up, we have lifestyle. So something to remember here is everyone is nosy, and as much as your parents tell you not to, everyone wants to snoop at everyone else's business. And where better to do that than social media? So it's up to brands to give people what they want, bring the character, and show what their brands are all about. So first up, we have Huel. They've been really great at kind of showing themselves as an open book on social, and this has helped them build a really strong brand persona. This is a format that everyone can use, whether you're B2B, B2C, just showing kind of the day in the lifestyle content, behind the scenes content is really easy to get that engagement. But if that feels all a little bit too exposing, why not take a story at a time? So National Grid here, for example, show 2 engineers that rescued a little hedgehog. And using just 2 really simple photos and a short piece of copy, they were able to tell a story that ended up making a huge splash on Facebook. And it's just a reminder that regardless of what industry you're in, stories are always there to be told, and people are interested in other people. You just have to find the right stories to tell. So finally is recipe content. Now, a bit more specific, but huge on social media this year. Even celebs have been taken to it, so I'm sure many of you have tried Gigi Hadid's vodka pasta. Mine wasn't very good. But it's about how you can stretch this format of a recipe. So how can you incorporate your product in a bit more of an interesting way? Or how can you play with the format? Or is it simply you take a new meaning to recipe? Is it a recipe for success rather than a recipe for a lasagna? And finally, we have education. So education is huge online. TikTok has been dubbed Gen Z's Google. I can definitely vouch for this in that I will look up lots of restaurants on TikTok before I go to Google. But educational content is relevant across the board. So let's look at entertaining your niche through education. So National Geographic, for example, they've really understood what their audience is interested in. They have then created content around that and presented it in a really easily digestible format. So whilst this might not be entertaining for me and you, history buffs out there can happily sit and watch these videos for hours on end because it includes all the interesting facts that they care about. You can also think laterally when it comes to education. So, for example, why not try a new take on a hack or telling a story through statistics? Booking.com there decided to, instead of sharing a practical solution to a problem, they took it to a different level and made quite a silly but a very entertaining solution instead. So what do I want you to take from this? Basically, you need to find the fun in education content. So now we understand the various forms of entertainment, it's important that we understand how to measure it. So even if you might not think so, entertainment is measurable. And these are our 3 key metrics that we've identified that will help you do this. So you have engagements, positive sentiment, and visibility. So when you leave here today, I hope that you can remember these 3 steps to success when it comes to entertainment on social. Know your brand persona and be consistent with it. Place your brand in your audience's shoes. It's really important to be relatable and familiar and tell stories wherever possible. And finally, don't be afraid to stay in your lane or test and learn and branch out. If something is working well for you, go for it. Just think about continually improving upon that. However, if you have the courage to try something new, it's also really encouraged. Now, we come back to my trusty flowchart. Entertainment is everywhere. It's just really up to you to decide how you activate it for your audience. And I hope that you feel confident now that in 2024 you can do that. And hopefully my job here is done and I can hand over to Rian.